Hey James.
Hey Alex, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, very good. How are you? Mhm.
Magical, magical.
Sounds like you've had a busy morning, yeah?
Fuck, I've had a busy life.
Yeah. Good, good, good. No, people say sometimes it's good to keep busy, yeah, rather than having nothing to do. But
This is true. Devil makes work for idle hands.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, thank you very much, James, for agreeing to come and speak to us on this business mindset podcast. So it's good to capture a vast range of people's stories from all over. So you've got a miracle story to share with us, which is great. So looking forward to it. So I thought initially we'll just start by if you could just take us through your journey from the beginning as a sort of set us into the detail and what life has been like for you from humble beginnings. So sort of set the scene, and then we can pick up bits as we go along.
Sure. No, thank you. First of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm grateful for Sharon Griffiths for connecting us.
Yeah.
I think gratitude is so important. I'm going to share some specific information about my life, my journey, what's worked for me, and potentially there might be some knowledge there which will help you or inspire you or impact your life in some way. But all I know nothing, and I believe that no one can know enough to be a pessimist or an optimist or a cynic or a skeptic. And I'm a full-time student. I'm just constantly learning, and sometimes I teach other people some things. But really, I wish I had someone like me 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I wish
Yeah.
I'd written a book that my younger self could have had, so I didn't make all the stupid mistakes that I made my whole life, and oh god, cause problems. Because it's looking back, but that which was sent to destroy me has become my greatest strength. I've been able to turn my poison into my medicine, and there lies a blessing. So, as a disclaimer, I'm so grateful for what I'm going to share. I don't have any anger, no animosity, no regrets, because we can't hate the parts of us or the past that has brought us here, because we've got to learn to love ourselves, accept ourselves, and all part of ourselves. And when we're able to do that, that's when true growth happens. And I've learned it's got nothing really to do with business or success or making money. That's just a byproduct of allowing ourselves to be us and acting in our true power. So I hope that makes sense to you, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make sense, and I'm sure it will resonate with a lot of our listeners as well. So, yeah, it'll be great for you to share that with us.
Yeah. So let me. Do you want me to start with the end or the beginning?
The beginning. So take us through the journey. So the beginning and ease us through the process and everything that you've gone through.
All right, cool. So I'll give you a short version, and I suppose if people like this, then we could delve into it more later. So my name's James Porritt from East London, and growing up, my parents said to me, "Get a good education, get a good job, get a car, get a house, get married. You'll have a happy, successful life." I'm sure a lot of people have heard that, right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I tried all of them. I failed at everything. And, yeah, so I felt a failure like most of my life. Grew up, didn't really fit in anywhere, and there were a lot of different things, social settings. I wasn't very confident. I didn't feel comfortable. Mum and dad are from Sri Lanka. I love them to bits. They done the best for me with what they could, with what they had, but unfortunately, their knowledge and skills and expertise were limited, and they didn't have access to the information knowledge that we have today. So because of that, I was programmed with information that wasn't serving me. And ultimately, we all have beliefs, but where do our beliefs come from? All I know is that my beliefs aren't my own. They're programmed into me from my parents, my family, my friends, school, education, government. We're programmed to live in a certain way. So that caused a lot of problems growing up. Lack of self confidence, lack of self belief, lack of self esteem, not really loving myself, and not understanding how to communicate effectively. And that caused a lot of problems. But it's just not being aware of myself and surroundings around me. And this caused a lot of problems, because if we got conflicting beliefs within ourselves, then it's going to be very difficult to live a conducive life and to progress. Because if we've got conflicting thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, and we have questions and things don't make sense, then it's going to cause an issue. And growing up, I'd be a very curious child, and I'd get shut down all the time. Stop asking silly questions, or why are you asking questions? Be seen, not heard, and all these things. I was forced to operate in a way that other people were, whether it was conducive to me or not, whether that was my mode of operation or not. And that's what a lot of people go through, unfortunately, because people don't know any better. So because of that, it caused a lot of health challenges. I suffered with anxiety, I suffered with depression, and basically trying to be something that I'm not. Failed university, failed at my A levels as well, and it was just a path of failure. But I remember going back to my A levels. I do maths, physics, and biology, and I failed all of them. But there was a sense of peace, because I knew that I shouldn't have been doing that, but I picked it because my friend told me, and he'd done it. And we to people who have no idea about us, about our lives, and at that age they don't have any idea about themselves, but they do some things that work for them, and we're comparing ourselves to other people, and we're talking someone else's life instead of our own.
Yeah.
So I knew my A levels. I picked those courses and should have done something creative, because I'm really creative. But I failed, and when I got my results, I was expecting it anyway. And then I remember one of my friends. She was wanting to do medicine, and she got a C and some D's, and she was really upset. She was distraught, and I showed her my paper, and I got all E's, and I said, "Look," and then she was so confused, and it was crazy. And it kind of confused her in that moment. She didn't feel so bad. And I realized something in that moment. I realized in that moment that my gift, my purpose was to spread light to other people of hope. Because I'd got something really bad, and I was actually happier than her, because when I was in the exams, I let go. I was at peace, knowing, you know what, this isn't my path, this isn't my purpose, and it's okay. And she was really confused, and I had a light moment then. And then I'd applied to universities, didn't get to one of my choice, got to another university in London, done a foundation course in computer science, which I shouldn't really have picked, but it was easy. I passed it, went on to the university of my choice to do computer science, and done it for one semester, and realized I can't cope with this. The maths, the science, how it works inside, it was too much for my simple mind. And I left feeling like a failure, and that really destroyed me. I went into depression, and I'd seen something to do with multimedia design, which is about creativity, and that really spoke to my soul. Tried to get onto the course, and the lecturer at the time wouldn't let me on. He said, take a year off and see if you like it. I met someone during that summer, one of my first girlfriends, one of my first girlfriends. And I was really shy when I was at school. I remember I went to an all-boys school, and there was an all-girls school across the road. And if I was walking to school and one of the girls was on the same side of the road as me, I'd cross over. I was so shy. It was ridiculous. And then obviously that's changed now. I'm not the same now. Now I talk to the girls and I get in trouble. That's a whole different topic. That's a whole different podcast. I'm not going to go into that. Got to university and got to do multimedia technology design, done 2 years, and then took a placement near, couldn't find the work, broke up with my girlfriend, and then had another relationship, had a car accident, 2003. I remember, actually, I forget all about all this stuff. It's coming back to me now. Thank you, Alex, because all these memories I've forgotten about. It was New Year's Eve 2002, New Year's Day 2003. Finished, worked at Next at Brent Cross. I live in East London. Went out for the night. I was actually drinking and driving, so don't judge me. Don't do that, please. But I was driving back. I left West London around 5 o'clock in the morning to get back home, have a shower, and get back to Brent Cross at 10 o'clock, which, looking back now, that's a suicide mission. If I speak to myself, don't do it, just call in sick. But on the way back home, I kept falling asleep. I put the windows down all the way to keep me awake, the music blasting, and got to East London. I was on one of the flyovers, and I fell asleep. And I woke up when I hit one of the side reservations, and it was like, I don't know, 30 feet up in the air. Luckily, I had a Vauxhall Cavalier, which is a strong car. If it was small, I would have flipped over. And it was the scariest thing. It was like I woke up with a pack of lions. I didn't have any time to respond or react. I crossed both lanes again and then went to the other side. Luckily, there was no cars at that time in the morning. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. Crashed into the other reservation and came to a halt. I was like a ping pong machine. And, I was in shock, woke up, and then walked behind to pick up my front bumper from the road, which I left behind. And he was more shocked than I was to see if I was okay. And by the grace of God, I didn't even have a scratch on my finger. And I actually wasn't even wearing a seatbelt because I didn't like wearing seatbelts at the time. So again, wear seatbelts, please. But to go through that, I'll share something in a second. And it was just shocking I was still alive. Then the police came, the police breathalyzed me, and I'd been drinking as well, so I was nervous. So I didn't breathe the first time properly. I didn't breathe the second time properly. And they said, this is your last chance. If you don't breathe properly, we're going to take you down the station. So I breathed properly, and it was green. And I was so shocked because I'd been drinking. And even the police officer was shocked because he could smell the alcohol off me. He said, you've been drinking. How much have you drank? I said, I had a little bit of whiskey and a little bit of Bailey's last night. And I said, drank since midnight. And I lied. I'm not condoning lying. I'm so sorry. I'm public. It's all coming out. I forgot about all of this. Oh my God. I lied, but he was shocked because he could smell the alcohol. And I passed it, and I was like, my heart was breaking. I think my heart was breaking and it was beating. I think the adrenaline must have sobered me really quickly.
Sobered,
But it's crazy looking back at. I forgot about this story. So basically, the police officers left. Then they had the high patrol way come, and then they had to take my car away. Now this is where it got shocking. When I stopped the car, I was still in fifth gear, and I was going about 60, 70 miles an hour. I was speeding as well. I committed all the crimes, man. Oh my God. They came to pick the car up, but they couldn't tow it. They literally had to get a crane and pick up the car because the wheels were smashed in, the back wheels were smashed, and then my mum was calling me to come pick her up to take her to church. And first day of the year, and I had to say to her, listen, I've had to park up the car, I'm coming home, and I can't take you to the work. I went home, had a shower, and it was so surreal, and I went straight back to work because I didn't want to stay at home, because if I stayed at home, my mum would want me to pick up the car, she'd ask me questions, and it still didn't feel real to me. It didn't feel real. Had a shower, told my girlfriend, went into work, told them what happened, and when I told them, they were like, wow, it's surreal. They said, you should be at home. I said, I don't want to be at home, because I said, I'll start thinking about it. I said, I just need to keep myself occupied. Days later, I went with my mum to come pick up the car. When I think the pictures, I lost all the pictures. My mum saw the picture of the car, she broke down in tears, and it was, when I saw it, I was like, wow, God was with me that day. And people were saying, oh my God, that's a bad start to the year. I'm like, that's the best start to the year possible. I'm blessed. I'm grateful to be alive. And that story, what I learned from that story is perspective. We could be going through something, the rest of the world could see it's easy, we could see it's impossible, but likewise, the rest of the world could be thinking it's unlucky. I thought it was lucky. Who's right? Who's wrong? It's all about the beliefs. I saw myself as lucky, and I saw myself as grateful, and that really helped me. But when I looked at the car, I didn't have my seatbelt on. I was asleep, so I wasn't anticipating the accident, and I didn't have any apprehension, and I didn't have jet lag. I didn't have whiplash. I didn't have anything, and I woke up. I was fine. I've seen people die for less, and it's like I still can't explain that to this day. I know that God has been with me. So that year I was working at Next, and then went back to university next year. Couldn't finish the final year. I was just depressed. I was in debt. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who the hell I was. And I left that, came back home, felt like a failure. This was around 2003, 2004, no, this is 2004. Came back, felt like a failure, went in deep, dark depression. I was there for about 2 years, and it wasn't a good time. I was working at Barclays for a year. Whilst I was working at Next, I was working 7 days a week. I was working at Barclays Monday to Friday, working at Next Saturday and Sunday. At Barclays, I was working for pension and mortgage complaints in the office, and people that have got mortgages in the 80s, they'd lost a lot of money, and it was just a negative environment, and it was really getting me down. I was making lots of money, but I was depressed, and eventually, I think 2005, I came out of depression, and I don't know what happened. I just switched out of it, and I left my job. And people were telling me, you had a good job, you should have stayed there. And I was like, well, if it's such a good job, I'll donate it to you. You can have it. I didn't want it, because people tell you to look at money, or you're making good money, but I wasn't happy. It wasn't my purpose, my calling. And if you're doing something in life that doesn't fulfill you, just walk away. Try something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's only doing loads of different things that I didn't like doing that I finally found out what my calling and purpose and path was. So left that, and that was 2005, and I was in a dark depression for a long time, and I just kind of switched out. I don't know what happened, and then people thought I was on crack cocaine. They thought I was on drugs, because imagine a spring, if it's compressed for a long period of time and then it's let loose, it just comes up. So these were patterns and behaviors, and I didn't understand psychology back then. I didn't understand coaching. I didn't understand personal development. And my sister was studying psychology, and she said, you're bipolar. She said, one moment you're up, one moment you're down. We don't have you. And I've seen, I went in to see counselors. I went and see the GP. They just want to put me on medication. I didn't want to take it. I went to see priests. I saw all kinds of people. And there was a stubbornness inside me, which I didn't understand back then. But now I realized that was, whether you call it your instinct, intuition, internal guidance system, Holy Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, there was something inside me that wouldn't allow these people to tell me what to do. But I didn't understand it back then. So obviously with mental health now and lockdown, it's important to understand these things. But I didn't back then, and mental health wasn't a buzzword like it is now. You were seeing pepper, and that's what kind of happened to me. So that was 2005. And then I went on a crazy one where I left home. I went to live in a hostel. I classified myself as homeless, stays in a hostel. And I saw it as an exciting journey. I saw it as an adventure. I had loads of fun. And it was like I was living my teenage years again, because I did it as a teenager. And I made money. I was spending it. And then they housed me somewhere to live in Walthamstow, above a betting shop. And I went to stay there. There was no electricity and gas. I didn't realize the previous people didn't pay it, and I couldn't afford to pay it. There was a plug socket outside the room. So I forgot about all this stuff, man. And I had an extension cable come into the room.
Good to bring it all back.
Yeah. I had extension cable coming in. I had my lamp there. I had my computer and my kettle. There was no hot water. So I was staying there for about 9 months during the winter time. I was on job seekers. So I had the gym membership. So I'd go to the gym in the morning to have a shower. And because I have a shower, I'd work out as well. So I lived in that flat for 9 months with no hot water, no gas, no electricity, no lights, nothing. The thing is, I say it like that. It actually wasn't a bad memory. It was actually a really fun memory I had. It was like an exciting adventure. And I loved resourceful. It taught me resilience. And I've done a lot of crazy stuff. I actually put myself in harm's way a lot of the times. And looking back now, it's crazy. It's like, my God, if I went back to my younger self, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Again, I was trying to express myself because I suppressed my life. And my mom, I love them to bits, but they done the best for me that they could. But I wasn't supposed to live the normal life. A 9-to-5 job. I was supposed to live something different. I didn't realize at the time. And as I'm speaking now, all these realizations are coming to me, and I'm remembering things I've forgotten about. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Sharon. Really bringing up things in me I've forgotten about. So that was a crazy period where I went on spending a lot of money, and then I got a job working as a security guard in Marks and Spencer's in Elton High Street, which was rough back then, not like what it is today. And working there for about a year and a half, living at my place in East London. And then I remember one hot summer day, because loss prevention, You have to give people the opportunity to pay for their goods and leave the store before you do anything.
Yeah.
One summer day, I saw this guy who was basically had a hot jacket on, and it was hot in the morning. You're not going to walk around with a hot jacket. So I know this guy was doing something he wasn't supposed to do. Walked past the counters, asked the girls at checkout if he'd paid for it.
Yeah.
Hadn't paid for anything. Walked out, called out after him 3 times. He carried on running. I chased him and basically went and grabbed him, and he had some meat to the value of like £25 fall out of the jacket. So he was stealing stuff. And then had him there detained, and desperate people do desperate things. He bit me on the arm.
Whoa.
I'm telling you, the guy's crazy. So I had to spin him around and detained him and kind of pushed him to the floor, fell on his. Call one of my colleagues to come. They helped get him over. I left him. I got injections done. They checked me for tetanus and all sorts. And after that, I realized, you know what, this security thing isn't for me. Left that job, managed to get a job at Phones for You. I was there for about a year, had no sales experience, done really well. And I became a mobile troubleshooter where I'd go to underperforming stores. They could be doing 20, 30, 40% of target. Within 3 to 5 days, I'd move them to 150, 200% of target. And I didn't really realize what I was doing at the time. But it was just, I realized happy people work harder. And when I went to stores, I went in, I was positive. And I said to them, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to listen to you and help you through target. Some of the stores, I said, listen, the regional managers told me you guys are really good. The rest of the region laugh at you, mockery, what's wrong? And they'll tell me and they'll figure out a way to get through it together. So I'd go in there early. And that's when I realized about leadership, because my regional manager said, I can get there at 10 and leave at 4. I'll get there at 8 and I'll leave at 7. I wouldn't leave until we hit target. But I was working with them and for them. The previous managers were either in the back office or they were just demoralized. The team was demoralized. I went there. I was positive. I had good skills. I'd help them. I'd coach them. I'd guide them. And it got to a point where if there were underperforming stores that were spiking figures, they knew I was there. So my regional manager knew this about me, but I developed certain skills, but still I didn't really believe in myself. And then my regional manager left. We had another manager there who was basically a bully, and I wouldn't step down. And I stayed there for longer than I should have done. And then there was an incident which brought me into disrepute, and I was a model individual at the company. I had a really good reputation, and overnight that reputation was destroyed. I won't go into specifics now, but I suppose that'll be in the book. But basically, there was a phone stolen from the cage, and I was implicated because I was the manager that day. And they have a security team, and they're basically all ex-police officers, and I was treated like a criminal. And I went from being a role model there to being treated like a criminal, and that destroyed my sense of self-confidence, self-belief, and sense of self as well. And that really affected my mental health. I didn't realize at the time. I felt I had to leave. So I left there, got another job working in the city, and basically in the property sector. I was working with people that are more skilled than me, and it was working on the phones in the office. Previously, I was always face-to-face. I love being around people. Working in the office, I felt like a caged animal, and it just destroyed my sense of confidence and self-belief. So I had to leave the previous job. I was running a business on the side. That fell apart. Relationship fell apart. Had to move home. It was just everything fell apart like a pack of cards. And I was clinically depressed. I didn't realize. Friends were calling me to come out. I wouldn't come out. I'd stopped eating as much. I'd gone down to 8 stones. I was renting my brother and his wife at a time, and I just wasn't happy. I'd go to work, come home. We'd have family get-togethers. I wouldn't leave my room. You get these people scared of leaving the house. I wouldn't leave my room. I was in a really, really, really dark place. At my lowest point, my mum and sister come to the house one evening to see me, and they were coming up the stairs, and they put the landing light on. I didn't want them to see me. I was scared enough. I went and hid behind the wardrobe. This was 10 years ago. That's not normal behavior for a 2-year-old child, let alone a grown adult. And it was just not good. My mum found me there. She was in tears. My sister swearing at me, sort your life out, because it wasn't just impacting me, it was impacting everyone. Yeah. And that's what people don't realize with mental health. There's so much stigma. Well, there was stigma then. Now there isn't, thankfully. There's open discussions about it. But people don't realize it doesn't just infect.
Yeah.
the individual, it infects and affects everyone that they're around. And that's very, very important to understand. So I'd hit rock bottom. And through the journey, I was involved with network marketing, and there was lots of benefits with that. But there was also, network marketing had adversely affected my mental health as well. And there's a number of reasons for that, because I can get on stage now and I can speak. I get some really good events. I can speak in front of 5,000 people. I can change people's emotional state. But people feel good, they don't know why. They go away feeling good, they don't know why. And excitement, motivation is important. But if we don't have the correct guidance, direction, skill set, ability, and platform and mentorship to implement and execute, then ultimately it's only going to lead to frustration, disappointment, heartbreak, and shattered dreams. And if I've got a room full of 5,000 people and they're all excited and hyped up, but they don't have the right skills, then when they go in the workforce and meet serious business people, they're going to get shut down. That's what happened to me. And if they don't have the skills, then what really do I have? I've got a room full of 5,000 chimpanzees clapping their hands. It's not really going to serve any purpose. So having been positive is important, but what I realize is being overly negative is destructive. Being openly positive is destructive as well. We have to have the balance. It's all about harmony. There's no good, no bad, no right, no wrong, no positive, no negative. There's no judgment. It's just being open to what is and allowing yourself to feel and learn the lessons. So that really destroyed me. Around the same time, I was having a review with my manager at work, and I really wasn't happy. And I remember I couldn't get the words out. And the next thing I know, the paramedics are there asking my name and date of birth. I see these people in green clothing, and I try to talk, and I couldn't get the words out. My tongue was hurting, and I was and they had to carry me up, and I was moaning. I didn't know what happened. It's like I'd been knocked out. And what I didn't realize was that I'd had a grand mal epileptic seizure. I bit my tongue, blood was coming, foam at the mouth, my eyes were rolled up like Exorcist, my body was convulsing, and I was gone for 8 or 9 minutes unconscious, which is life-threatening. And I had those in quick succession, one at work, one at ambulance, one in hospital. And my manager was really pissed off, because when the paramedics come, because I was working estate agents, they thought I was an estate agent. I was taking drugs. They didn't want to take me. And he forced them. He said, listen, this guy doesn't take drugs. He doesn't even drink. You need to take him. Took me to the hospital, put me on antileptic drugs. I was knocked out for 24 hours. When I woke up, my dad was there. He was really scared, because they knew I was depressed as well, and no one could help me. And it was scary for them as well. But we didn't have the right information. I'm not epileptic. There was no history of epilepsy. They thought I'd OD'd on crack cocaine or heroin, but there was nothing in my bloods. And I was a medical anomaly. I've had CAT scans, MRIs, EEGs, EECs, CAT scans, psychology tests, and it was always clear which ruled out epilepsy, and they were confused. If I'd listened to neurologist consultants and doctors, I'd be drugged up to my eyeballs in bed as a zombie right now. So it's a very, very difficult journey for the last 15 years. I've had 16 plus grand mal epileptic seizures. I'm an anomaly. I'm a medical miracle. And that's what I want to share with people, what I've learned along the journey. Because through the journey, I became a personal trainer, looked at nutrition, looked at loads of different products. I've gone through about 10 different network marketing companies, trying different solutions. Some worked, some didn't. Got radio presenting, got into public speaking, became a consultant. I looked at meditation, Tai Chi, acupuncture, cupping, sound therapy, energy work, healing therapies, religion, all kinds of modalities. And I learned a lot of cool stuff. Some things worked for a while, some things didn't. But ultimately, my body kept falling apart. And I couldn't understand it. And no one could, because I was unique. And it's important to understand you need to be a research scientist for yourself. And the key is you need to take personal responsibility. You need to reflect, you need to journal, you need to understand what works, what isn't working, and you need to try and error, and you need to use the path that other people have created, but also you need to find your own way. And I'll share a little story to kind of illustrate this. There was this young girl, and her mum was cooking fish, and the mother cut the head and tail off. And she said to the mother, "Why did you cut the head and tail off?" She said, "Oh, that's what my mother did." So she went to the grandmother and said, "Why'd you cut the head and tail off?" She said, "I don't know, that's what my mother did." So she went and asked the great-grandmother still alive, "Why'd you cut the head and tail off?" She said, "Well, sweetheart, in our days the pots and pans weren't big enough." But they still do today. Why? They don't know. And it's a very poignant story, because if we look at any religion, any tradition, any business, any structure, any organization, any community, there's usually a process there. But there was a reason for that process or that tradition or that culture at that point in time. That reason no longer exists. People still, why? They don't know, because they follow the status quo. They don't question. You have to question everything, and it's important to understand that. And again, this is another true life story. There was a car accident, and there were 35 eyewitnesses, and each eyewitness gave their statement and account to the police. Not a single one of them matched, not a single one of them corroborated, but each and every single one was correct. How is it possible? Each person had their own position, their own standpoint, their own unique perspective, and over a different period of time, and they saw the event through their own emotional filters.
Yeah.
Much as like you can have someone at the bottom of the mountain and someone at the top of the mountain looking at the exact same object in the distance, yet they may not see it the same, if they in fact even see it at all. The person at the bottom, their view might be skewed by the branches. The person at the top, their view might be blocked by the clouds. But whether they can see or not does not alter the fact that the object remains. It's about perspective. And I've realized, if you look at a plane, when it's going through turbulence, it's not fun, is it?
No.
It's, you had a smile. You've been there, haven't you? Yeah. So it's not fun. It's scary. But when you come out, it's smooth sailing. But usually, if you go above the clouds, you're safe in the plane, but the cloud and the storm is still below you. That's success is like a lot of the time. We become successful, but we become detached from reality. We live in our own bubble. And I've seen that with very successful entrepreneurs. And again, no judgment. There's no good, bad, right, or wrong. But a lot of my business partners and mentors were arrogant, controlling, manipulative, narcissistic sociopaths that were gaslighting me. That's very dangerous. They weren't bad people, but they've been conditioned by what they know. And that's all of them, but vast majority. And I didn't realize this was triggered from my father, who had these traits. And again, I love my dad. My dad loves me. He's not a bad person. So people talk about narcissists and sociopaths about being bad people. They're not bad people. And I've got so much compassion for them because they don't know what they don't know. And I was brought up Christian Catholic. I'm not religious at all. I don't allow religion to convolute my faith. But I understand what Jesus says on the cross. Forgive, Father, for they know not what they do.
They do. Yeah.
I've got great compassion for these people because they were my greatest teachers and they tried to help me, but they didn't understand where I was coming from because I had empathy. They didn't. They lacked the empathy gene. And it's sad seeing these people because they're destructive and then they feel sorrow. And that was a pattern I had with my dad. And because I didn't resolve this pattern with my father in childhood, it kept repeating itself again and again and again with powerful mentors and business partners because I was seeking their approval because I didn't get it from my father. And I was seeking my approval from my father from these business mentors, but I didn't realize it. And even now, as I'm speaking, it's all coming together in my mind. So people are very successful. They might have been successful 15, 20 years ago, which is great. But how is that serving people today? And a lot of time, they're giving people solutions to problems that they don't have. They're giving people solutions to problems that no longer exist. They're really equipped with the world and problems that no longer exist. And that's very dangerous. And so I'm not broke. I'm not unsuccessful at the bottom. I'm not super successful at the top, but I'm in the middle and I'm a bridge between worlds. So I'm a super connector and a super networker. And I know how to connect people because I have perspective. And this is my gift to the world. I didn't even realize this before. I only realized this in the last couple of days. But imagine you've got a car, you want to build it, you have to get all the parts together, right? You get the parts, you put it in the garage, the engineer and the machine puts together, the maintenance people maintain it. You get your car, you drive it, everyone's happy, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you bring the parts and there's no engineer, there's no machine, there's no maintenance, what have you got? You got a pile of junk, right?
Yeah.
That's it. So I realized my gift in life is finding the parts, whether it's business, friendship, communities. But I don't find the parts find me. I don't understand how this works, don't ask me, but that's what happens. So in the past, I'd have the parts, I'll bring it to these people, the engineers and the machines, they'll build the car and they'll drive off and they'll leave me on the curb. I'd made people millions before, but I was broke because I didn't believe in myself. I wasn't proud of myself. I didn't see myself as a person of value and influence, but successful people did, and they exploited it. They didn't really exploit me. They treated me the way that I allowed them to.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I didn't understand this back then. And I saw an energy reader many years ago because I was working with people in property, and basically I found out they were corrupt. And this energy reader said to me, basically, you don't need a coach, you just need a friend. It's lonely taking on the whole world by yourself. And he said, you're a very powerful empath. It's very rare that I meet someone with your gifts, but no one's taught you how to harness and control these gifts, and you haven't learned. And I didn't understand what an empath was back then, but I've come to realize an empath basically is a word that empathy is derived from. If we have empathy, we can feel and resonate and understand what other people feel. So an empath is an individual or entity that is hypersensitive, that feels other people's energy. So I was feeling other people's energy, their joy, their happiness, their trauma, their fears, but I was so in tune that I was picking up other people's trauma, feeling as though it's my own, and I wasn't able to tell the difference. And that's another reason why I was having the seizures. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But I didn't understand this back then, and no one taught me, so I had to learn the hard way. And luckily, I'm still alive. So all these things were happening, and I kept getting into business with people, and I kept getting abused because that was my pattern. That was my winning formula from childhood, and that was a way that I sought love and recognition. But I didn't realize this then. I do a lot of work through psychology, counseling, became a coach, and I started to understand myself. And I've realized along the journey, it's not about saving anyone else. It's about saving myself, transforming myself, and my transformation will transform other lives. And as a coach before, when I became a coach, I was trying to save other people's lives, and it was never about them. It was about myself. So it was toxic because I was projecting my needs, my desires, my agendas onto them.
Yeah.
Coaches do this. Doesn't mean they're bad people. They're just not aware. So we have to be aware. That's very important. So again, all these lessons were happening, but I was a slow learner, and I've been to the seminars, I've read the books. There's only so much you can learn from seminars and books. I had the mentors as well, but it's a journey. And I said to one of my mentors a number of years ago, I said, is pain the most effective teacher? He looked at me square in the eye and said, hell no, but for some people, it's the only way.